What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Alphonso Speaks, and welcome back to more of the Darrell Brooks trial day 3. We have our next witness coming up here, Officer Schneider. She's going to give her testimony. She was standing right next to the last witness who tried to stop the SUV as it drove down the parade route. More and more evidence just burying Darrell Brooks again and again. Before we get there, though, just a couple of housekeeping notes. If you have not followed me on the Instagram yet, it's right below. Follow me on that Instagram, okay? I take video suggestions there. I already have a long list of videos, of topics that you guys are wanting me to get to. I am going to get to those. I'm really trying to just hammer through a lot of this Darrell Brooks content first and get this trial done because it's a long one. Periodically in between, I'll start plugging in different trials, in between. But for right now, I've been just focusing on the Darrell Brooks trial because it's a lot. You guys love it, and I love watching it for you. So, also, excuse me, my goodness, if you guys haven't noticed, channel memberships are not now available and come with some pretty cool perks, including members only live streams, and going to be starting those up pretty soon. So if you guys want to be a part of those, make sure you get yourself a membership, okay? There's 2 tiers there, a bronze and a silver level that you can check out. And also, Kenichi Bear Headphones. You guys already know Hibernation 5C. Use promo code Alphonso, ALPHONSO. You guys can use that and get yourself 15% off of a brand new pair of Hibernation 5C headphones like the ones that I have on my head right now, okay? I do identify by that name, and I do know that individual, and you all have the subject matter jurisdiction to get yourself a brand new pair of Hibernation 5C headphones. Okay, guys. Again, Happy New Year to all of you. You guys have been really blowing these views out of the water. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers, so that's really exciting. And I'm just really happy to keep bringing you guys these videos. It's really fun for me to make. I watched the trial all day anyway, so I just record it and do my commentary over it. So, I'm really grateful to all of you that you've given me the opportunity to do this for you, to try to make a living out of doing this. That's my goal. Shout out to Court TV for the footage. If you guys want trial footage without commentary, always check out Court TV. They have every single trial that you could possibly think of. I'm thinking about doing some of the throwback trials that they have on there. How would you guys like if I did the O.J. Simpson trial? Wouldn't that be crazy? How about the Jeffrey Dahmer trial? You know what I mean? So many classic trials out there that we can check out. But this is definitely one of them. This is one of those ones that we'll still be talking about 20, 30 years from now. So let's get into it. Officer Schneider. Well, before we get to her, we have some legal arguments and stuff. So let's get to that. You guys already know what we do. Playback speed 1.25 because ain't nobody got time for Darrell Brooks and his nonsense. All right, let's do it.
All right, then we are back on. The record appearances are as they were before. State may call its next. Well, actually, we'll bring the jury in, and then you may call its next witness. Seem to like to want to do that these days. All right, have the jury brought back up, please.
So when it comes to Judge Darrell specifically, sorry to pause so early, but when it comes to Judge Darrell specifically, some people in the comments don't really know where I stand on Judge Darrell specifically. I am a supporter of Judge Darrell and what she had to deal with going through this trial. I just think at some times throughout the trial, she allowed certain things to go on for too long. So when you see me react to it, I want to make it very clear. When you see me react to something that she did, I'm not one of those people that's out here Judge Darrell was horrible. No, I don't think she was horrible at all. I think she was imperfect, which is natural. Right? It's a natural thing. We're human beings. We're not always going to get everything 100% right, especially when it's a trial of this magnitude that lasts for this long. Mistakes will be made, but she did her best to keep the record clear for any type of appeal that Darrell Brooks was going to try to make. We understand that. We get that. I just think that sometimes when he started asking the questions about the plaintiff, she should have cut it off after the first question. Sometimes he gets 5, 6 questions deep about the plaintiff, and then she says 90611. I think at the very start, the first time he brings up the plaintiff, 90611, because every time it's subjected as irrelevant. And if it's going to be objected to as irrelevant again and again every single time, then just 90611 them. 90611, 90611. That's it. So just wanted to clear that up. I am not a Judge Darrell hater by any stretch of the imagination. I just watching the trial in real time, or watching it back, I guess I should say, in its entirety. Sometimes the irritation does spark up when I'm like, I really feel like she could have done better in this spot.
I'll state very briefly for the record, Your Honor, that we still have yet to address the subject matter jurisdiction.
No.
Will that be addressed at some point?
Mr. Brooks, that's a frivolous matter. We've already addressed that. I direct your attention to the Beneby decision, United States versus Beneby, found at 654 F 3rd 753. So I have addressed it.
You don't know where to find that? He ain't even writing that down. He looking through his papers hoping he finds it there. It's not there.
Is that a judicial determination, Your Honor, that you want to address the subject matter jurisdiction?
The record stands, Mr. Brooks.
What a waste of trees. All that discovery for him that he's not even reading.
Verified statement of particulars by affidavit be addressed, Your Honor?
All rise.
Is that a tacit agreement, Your Honor?
Again, button the top button of your dress shirt. Tie the tie all the way up. You're trying to look professional, but you look like you're wearing your daddy's clothes. Now the jury walking in, now you want to fix his suit.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Attorney up for the state may call its next witness.
Thank you. The state will call Officer Schneider.
Right, Officer Schneider.
Officer, if you would please make your way to the witness stand. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, will swear you in. All right.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Thank you. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record, and then spell each.
Okay. My name is Sonia Schneider. Sonia is Sonia. Schneider is Schneider.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Officer Schneider, how are you currently employed?
I'm employed with the City of Waukesha Police Department.
How long have you worked in law enforcement?
A little over 3 years now.
And were you working on the date of November 20, 2021? I'm sorry, November 21, 2021.
I was.
What were your duties that day?
My duties were to secure the parade route and then provide traffic and pedestrian control.
Were you assigned to a specific location?
Yes, I was to be the intersection of East Main Street and Northeast Avenue.
And was that your post throughout the entire event?
It was.
Do you remember about what time you arrived at that location?
I believe it was around 3 p.m.
Okay. And when you got there, what were your responsibilities? Or what did you do?
We closed down traffic from Buckley to Northeast and put up barricades.
Okay. And were you dressed in police uniform that day?
I was dressed as I am right now.
And did you also have on a fluorescent vest?
I did.
Okay. And that lettering on that vest read police?
Yes.
Okay. At some point during the parade, was your attention drawn to a vehicle described as a red SUV?
It was.
How was your attention drawn to that vehicle?
Well, initially, we heard a call come out in the area of Frame Park about a potential man-knife fight. And then shortly after, I heard radio traffic about a vehicle going through the barricades or past the barricades.
What action, if any, did you take?
I was standing next to Officer Buttrin. He began to move forward, and as I observed the red SUV coming towards Officer Buttrin and not stopping, I ran forward to also try to intercept the vehicle.
What did you do?
I positioned myself right in front of the SUV for about a moment and tried to direct the vehicle off to Buckley, which would be to the right of the roadway.
Okay. And you said you positioned yourself right in front of the vehicle, is that right?
Yes.
So, did you go out into the roadway itself?
I stood directly in the path of the SUV, which
Okay.
was the entire right lane or north side of the street.
Okay, and, did you say anything or gesture in any fashion to the vehicle?
I was just gesturing with my hands to try to get the driver to observe me in the street.
All right, do you remember saying anything?
Sorry, just
Yes.
for the record, the witness has put both of her hands up with the palms facing out about between waist high and chest high in a stop motion. Go ahead.
Do you remember saying anything?
I don't recall saying anything.
Now, you said your intention was to try and direct the vehicle off onto Buckley Street.
It was.
Was that a possibility from where the vehicle was located when you first saw it?
It was. The vehicle had time to slow down and make that turn.
Okay, and, you said you were facing the vehicle head-on, correct?
I was, I believe, if not exactly head on, at least, to the side where most of the front of my body would be facing it.
Okay, so you could see it coming, in other words.
Very clearly.
And you could see, because you were able to face the vehicle head-on, you were able to see that at some point you needed to step out of the way so you yourself are not struck. Is that fair to say?
Objection. Being the witness.
Sustained, please rephrase.
As you stood in the middle of the road, facing the vehicle, did you stay in that position?
I did not. I was very concerned the car was going to hit me.
So what did you do?
I jumped out of the way.
Did you make any efforts to interact with the vehicle in any way?
I believe that I had hit out at the car.
Okay. Were you able to see the driver of the car?
I was.
What did you observe about the driver of the car?
It looked to be an African American male with brown eyes and brown hair.
Did the driver of the SUV react to your presence in any way?
When I observed the driver, he had no expression on his face and he was looking straight ahead as if he was looking straight through me.
I love Darrell's facial expressions because he, every time they get a little detail about his appearance wrong, he's like, well, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. But again, as I said in the prior video, or I'll quote Detective Carpenter, as I said in my prior testimony, you can't have two different angles of approach in your defense. And you're reacting that way to them getting your description wrong, but then going on and trying to prove that it wasn't intentional. Were you in the car or not, Darrell? Obviously, we know that you were, but were you in the car or not? The best thing, honestly, I wouldn't even say the best thing he could have done is try to prove it wasn't intentional, because if you remember the opening statements, Attorney Zach Witchow was like, hey, the defendant's going to try to put on some type of defense. We don't know what it's going to be. We assume it's going to be something of the likes of it wasn't intentional. Well, with these charges here, we don't have to prove intent. We just have to prove action. So again, there really was no defense for Darrell Brooks in this case.
And that never changed?
No.
Did the driver of the SUV follow your direction and leave the parade route at Buckley?
No, he did not. As a matter of fact, he appeared to speed up.
Are you able to estimate speeds at this location?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
It's not hearsay.
I would
Doesn't make
estimate the speed to be anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour.
Were you able to see how many people were inside the SUV as it went by you?
I couldn't see the back seat clearly, but I observed only one person in the front of the vehicle.
Okay. And that was the driver, correct?
Correct.
That you just described for us earlier?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to show you an item that's been marked and received as Exhibit 17. And we'll put it up on the screen in front of you first so you can take a look at it, see if you recognize it. So, for the record, we've played about the first 5 seconds or 6 seconds of the video. Do you recognize this video, Officer Schneider?
I do.
Do you see yourself in this video?
Yes.
And do you believe this is a true and accurate representation of your actions on that day?
Yes.
Okay. Permission to publish 17, Your Honor?
Permission granted, it's previously been received.
So if you could please point out for the jury your location in Exhibit 17. You can circle on the screen if you want it to touch screen.
This is me.
And next to you?
That's
to your
Officer.
right?
That's Officer Buttran.
Okay. At this point, what are you and Officer Buttran doing?
We were again providing that traffic and pedestrian control for the intersection.
Okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and play this clip. It's 37 seconds long, and we'll just play it through, and then we can stop and ask questions if we need to, okay?
And you'll see in some ways it's got even more evidence. So what issue is who needs cars and what is it good for? Well, first of all, let's take it away. A coenzyme is any substance in the body that there's a car going to work from the reaction. The brain goes on a red respect. My escape last meal, I come down and go up the key word, the energy that supplies your brain, your heart, your liver, your kidney.
Officer Schneider, is that consistent with your recollection of the events?
It is.
I saw in Exhibit 17 at one point you appeared to leave your post on the south side of the road and run into the road. Is that what happened?
Correct.
And the vehicle?
Oh, by the way, guys, I did get some comments. Somebody was like, is it just me or does it look like that car is going faster than 25 miles per hour? Remember, we're watching this on 1.25 speeds. When you see the videos of him driving, it's going to be a little bit faster than it was in reality. So just keep that in mind, guys. It's at 1.25 speed. We're doing this because it's a long trial that we have to like get through, and like a lot of the questioning takes a long time. So just remember when you're watching the videos, it's a little bit not too much faster, but just a little bit faster than what it was in reality. Just keep that in mind.
Vehicle went past you then?
It did.
Excuse me, at that point, Officer Schneider, did you hear the vehicle honking its horn at all?
I never heard any honking.
Never at any point?
Never at any point.
Okay. I'd also like to show exhibit number 18, so same thing, we're going to preview it for you first before we show it for the jury, okay? So for the record, we've shown about the first 2 or 3 seconds of that clip to Officer Schneider. Officer Schneider, is exhibit 18 a true and accurate representation of your actions involving the red SUV on 11/21 of 21?
It is.
Move to admit and permission to publish 18.
Position, Mr. Brooks.
Objection. What's the relevancy of the video?
The objection is noted, it's overruled, and Exhibit 18 is received, permission to publish is granted.
Also want to know, is it standard for a judge to ask any objection before an exhibit is published, or should the opposing party just say an objection if they have one? So I know I have a lot of subscribers that like have worked in the legal field. You guys let me know about that. Like that's a question that I have, because that's one of the things that Judge Darrell does that I don't necessarily love. Like if Darrell should be paying attention, right? So if he has an objection, he should already be saying objection. He shouldn't have to be asked. But I don't know if that's standard practice. You guys let me know.
Just 1 second. I want to see the counter in the corner. Can you close that? Noted. Thank you. So for the record, this clip is 11 seconds in length. Officer Schneider, can you see yourself in this video at this point?
Yes.
Can you please circle yourself so the jury knows what to watch for?
Oh, right there.
Okay. And please clear the screen. All right, we're going to play this video in its entirety now.
Oh my God! What the? Come here! Come here!
Again, is that the moment where you ran up to the SUV and tried to stop it?
It was.
Okay. After the SUV had gone by you, at some point, were you aware that individuals further down to your west had been struck by the SUV?
Yeah, there was what I would call screaming on the radio.
Police radio.
Correct.
Okay. And you didn't see the SUV actually strike anybody, correct?
I did not see that.
When you heard the screaming and heard of the report of problems to your west, what did you do?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Initially, I was just trying to, I didn't know if there was going to be another vehicle coming because we didn't know what was going on. So I was trying to get people out of the roadway, and as soon as I heard the screaming on the radio, I began making my way downtown.
Did you encounter any people with injuries?
I did. I was stopped by numerous people who said that their children had potentially been nicked. The worst one was a adolescent female that was laying in the road with her family around her.
Do you know the first name of that adolescent female?
Jessica.
Objection, irrelevant.
Overruled.
I'm sorry, your answer may have been blocked by Mr. Brooks' objections, but please repeat it.
Objection, I do not consent to that name nor am I that person.
Noted. You may answer.
Jesselyn.
Do you know which group or unit in the parade she was with?
She was in a dance squad.
Okay. Did you attempt to render aid to Jesselyn?
I did.
Were her injuries significant?
They were.
At some point, did you go further westbound on Main Street and try and tend to more individuals?
I walked towards the direction of Mountaintop Coffee, and I was directed to stand guard over one of the deceased.
You guys realize, and she just said she was, as she kept going, she was then assigned to stand guard over one of the deceased. So she had to stay with one of the people who had passed away. I think we're going to find out who in a second. But you guys realize Darrell could have killed more than just one child, right? Jackson was the only one who didn't make it, but like he hit a bunch of kids. Like he hit a bunch of kids, and that's what bothers me really about his interrogation videos. Like all he talks about is himself the entire time, and then he's talking about, oh, my girls that don't even live with you. So like you spend the whole interrogation lying, even when clear evidence is presented to you. He never cracked. He never admitted that he did anything. He kept trying to bring it back to Erica Patterson and the domestic situation. Oh, why did she do this to me, man? I didn't hit this woman. I didn't kick this woman. I didn't punch this woman. I didn't push this woman. I didn't grab this woman. Bro, you literally did all of those things, and you ran through this parade. It's like, how do you understand the mind of somebody who can? It's like there is no conscience. Like I've been around people who are liars, but they still have a conscience. Once it gets to a certain point, they will crack and tell the truth. Darrell has, like, there's no end in sight. He will just continue to lie. He's still lying to this day. He's still saying that it wasn't intentional. And then at some points he's saying it wasn't even him.
Do you know the name of that person?
I believed it was Virginia, but I learned later that she was misidentified.
Okay. Who was it that you were standing guard over?
Overruled.
I never inquired the true name of the individual who I ended up being by.
Could you tell which group or unit in the parade that deceased person was associated with?
Overruled.
She was one of the dancing grannies.
And what would be the purpose in having you stand by with a person who had suffered fatal injuries?
To preserve the scene and relieve a community service officer who was standing there initially.
Okay. Thank you, Officer Schneider. I don't have any questions beyond that.
Thank you. Any cross, Mr. Brooks?
Yes. Officer Schneider, it would be fair to say from the video footage that was shown that you were standing directly next to Officer Butchern. Is that correct?
That is correct.
For any reason, would you have, being that you were so close next to him, not heard the same things that he heard?
Objection, I think that calls for
Grounds.
Calls for speculation. It's sustained. Next question.
Some of the stuff that he says just makes you want to like just go upside his head. You know what I'm saying? Stop saying grounds. He's literally that annoying kid in elementary school. Like you can't take him anywhere because he's just annoying to everybody on purpose. That's who this dude is.
How long before you saw the approaching vehicle?
I heard radio traffic about it going past the barricades, and I would say it was a couple seconds later that we saw it coming down the street.
Did you observe anyone being struck at that time?
I did not.
Did you observe anyone being struck after the vehicle passed you?
I did not.
Would it be fair to say from the video footage that was shown that the vehicle passed you in maybe a second, if that?
A second to 2 seconds, yes.
Do you think that would be enough time to get a clear description of who was driving the vehicle?
Yes, I do,
And why do you believe that?
because I saw the driver very clearly.
You saw the driver very clearly in 1 second.
Yes, sir.
And do you recall if the driver had hair?
I do.
Do you recall if the driver was wearing a hat?
I don't recall that.
Do you recall anything that the driver may have been wearing?
No, I don't.
Do you recall seeing anyone in the back seat?
I couldn't see the back seat from my position.
Why could you not see the back seat?
Because there's front seats in the way.
Were there any tinting to the vehicle that you saw?
Not that I saw.
So you saw no tinted windows at all on the vehicle?
I do not recall seeing tinted windows.
Would it be fair to say from the video that there was a barricade set up at the cross street of Buckley?
Yes.
Would it be also fair to say that you couldn't turn down Buckley Street because of the barricade?
The street was barricaded.
Could you make a turn down the street that was barricaded?
You could make a turn, but it was barricaded.
How can you make a turn on a barricaded street? How would you be able to do that?
If a vehicle were to slow down, the barricade could be moved.
So a vehicle would actually have to stop and then make the turn.
That's correct.
Were there any law enforcement officers posted at the barricade?
On that side of the street near Buckley, we had a reserve officer, I believe.
Do you recall if any one of those officers or officer attempted to stop the vehicle?
I couldn't tell you about that.
Was there any report of the officer that was standing at that barricade to stop the vehicle?
Again, I couldn't tell you about that.
So to the best of your knowledge, only you and Officer Butchering attempted to stop the vehicle?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
And there were other officers present?
The other individual who was present is not a sworn patrol officer.
Were they law enforcement?
No, they're considered a reserve officer.
Were they wearing any gear that may have identified them as an officer?
I don't recall what that officer or that reserve officer was wearing.
Can we show exit 17 again? Or exhibit 17.
You want it published or just shown to the witness?
I want to show them to the witness.
Permission granted.
Actually, can we show it to the whole court?
Permission granted, it's been received.
Well, before you play it, can you pause it? Before you play it, would it be fair to say that at that intersection that has the red light facing towards the camera, that there is, in fact, someone who appears to be law enforcement standing right there?
Objection vague.
Sustained. Rephrase.
Would it be fair to say that someone standing at that intersection that appears to be wearing the same police vest attire that you are wearing?
Objection vague.
Grounds.
Mr. Brooks can use the touch screen on his monitor as well, correct?
Correct. I'm gonna overrule the objection. I think what he was asking is clear enough, so he may answer.
There is an individual on the Buckley side of the intersection wearing a high-res traffic vest.
Is it similar in any way to the vest that you are wearing?
It appears to be so, yes.
So would it be fair to say that the appearance of them wearing the same attire as you, that they would be easily identified as law enforcement?
I would go so far as to say that they would be at least highly visible to people, yes.
What is his point? What is his point? Does he not realize he hurts his case with these questions? Like, do you realize by you saying that there was even more law enforcement visible, that supports the notion that you should not have been there in the first place and that you would have known that? That does not support any notion. It's not their responsibility to stop your car. It's your responsibility to stop your car and not drive on a parade route and not run through people.
Would someone who's not in the law enforcement field possibly for any reason mistake them as law enforcement?
Possibly, yes.
Can you play it just for a couple of seconds so we can get a clear look at the individual that I'm referring to?
Exactly how many seconds, Mr. Brooks?
I don't consent to being called that name, but 2, maybe 2 or 3 seconds.
pause at the 3-second mark, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Can you go back a second?
Judge, it's not possible to jump back in 1 second increments.
Go back to the beginning, please.
Right there.
Ask your question.
Do you know that individual right there?
I don't recall who that was, no.
Did you see them at any time attempt to stop the vehicle or redirect the vehicle?
I did not observe that myself, no.
You can take the exhibit down.
You're done with this exhibit?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You can take it down, man.
Can you put up exhibit 18 for the court?
You just want this presented, not played at this moment? Just confirming with you.
I'm probably gonna play it too
We'll get it up first.
for the entire court.
For the record, exhibit 18 is on the screens. Do you want it played, Mr. Brooks? Do you have a question at this
Yeah,
point?
I want it to play, Your Honor, if I may.
The whole thing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, permission granted.
Pause it right there. Would it be fair to say that that was just a horn?
You just said you. You just said you wanted the whole thing played. We're gonna back it up a little bit because that was very fast. The exhibit. So let's play it at normal speed so we can hear the whole exhibit.
Thing.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, permission granted.
Pause it right there. Would it be fair to say that that was just a horn that was heard?
No, I don't hear a horn.
You don't hear a horn.
I do not hear a horn.
Can we start that from the beginning?
Sure, for the record, Mr. Brooks.
When did you
Objection. I do not consent to being called that name, Your Honor, nor do I identify by that name.
The defendant has asked the video to be stopped. It was stopped at 4 seconds in. He's requested that it be replayed. Are you going to have the whole thing replayed, or do you want it stopped again at 4 seconds?
Maybe around the same point.
I'll wait till you say stop then.
Okay.
We'll make a record of it. Go ahead.
Pause it. Would it be fair to say that that was not just a horn that was heard on this video?
I will stick with my original answer on that.
So your original answer would be that you did not just hear a horn on this video that was being played.
That's correct.
And for the record, it was stopped at 6 seconds.
So would it be any reason that anyone else would have heard a horn?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Grounds.
Sustained calls for speculation on the part of this witness.
Did you at any time get a chance to read the report by Officer Butcher, who was standing right next to you during this event?
I did not read his report.
Did you have any conversation with him about what he may have observed or heard that evening?
Can you clarify what you mean?
Did you have any conversation with Officer Butcher about what he may have observed or heard on that evening?
I believe that the evening that later, after everything had calmed down, we had talked for a little bit.
Did he state to you that he had heard a horn beeping at any time during your conversation?
Objection, hearsay, move to strike
Grounds.
question.
Grounds.
Oh. Sustained calls for hearsay.
Do you recall what the conversation was about when you talked that evening?
I can't recall specifics, no.
Did you in any way talk about what had happened that evening at the parade?
Yeah, it would be about the parade, but I can't, again, tell you specifics of what we talked about.
You don't recall,
I've already answered that.
but you're sure that you had some talks about what you may have seen?
Objection, repetitive.
Grounds.
Asked and answered. Sustained. Next question, please.
Just so we're clear for the record, from your recollection, would it be fair to say that Officer Butcher saw the approaching vehicle before you did?
Objection,
Grounds.
speculation.
Grounds.
Sustained calls for speculation. on the part of this witness. Next question.
At what point did you see the vehicle? Once it was past Officer Butchering or before it had passed him?
I saw the vehicle coming from the White Rock location, so it was before the vehicle had even approached Officer Butchering's location.
Any reason why you didn't move to attempt to stop the vehicle when Officer Butchering did?
Yes, we oftentimes in our line of work have people, meaning no ill will, just disregard police barricades and other things. So initially I didn't know if the vehicle was being driven by somebody that was just simply distracted or lost or senile. I had no idea.
So it would be fair to say that at the time you had no idea what was going on with the vehicle and why it was there.
At the time, what I knew was that someone had radioed that a car had disregarded our barricades to keep the parade route closed off.
And you heard this on the radio, correct?
On police radio, yes.
So did you hear a car or did you hear an SUV?
I don't recall the exact words that were used. It was a vehicle.
Would it be fair to say that you just said that you heard a car over the radio?
I don't recall the exact words.
Would it be fair to say that it is extremely hard to compare a car with an SUV?
Objection.
No, because an SUV is a car. What you're thinking of, genius, is a sedan. That's a four-door car. But no, an SUV and a car are not two different things. An SUV is a car.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question.
Would you ever mistake a car in an SUV?
Objection.
Grounds.
Argumentative.
Overruled. She may answer.
I think I'm pretty good at knowing the difference.
So when you heard the radio call, were you expecting a car or an SUV?
I was expecting a vehicle, red in color, to be coming my direction.
Would it be fair to say that you, before it didn't state the color of the vehicle that you were expecting?
Just leave the stand and slap
Made, Your
him.
Honor, as
Objection.
to
Grounds.
when she may or may
Grounds.
not.
Mr. Brooks, hold on. Let her state the objection.
Questions vague as to when she may or may not have indicated the color of the car, Your Honor.
Grounds.
I'll sustain the objection. Please rephrase.
Woo!
It's sustained as to the form of the question.
Y'all? Alright. Breathe break. Breathe break. Alright, y'all. 3 deep breaths. One. 2. 3. Okay. All right. Let's do this.
At any time during the radio report, was there any report of the color of the vehicle, as you say, in the report that you heard over the radio?
The exact color of the vehicle over the radio, I do not recall hearing. I know that I saw a red SUV coming from White Rock.
Would it be fair to say that you heard the radio call before you saw the vehicle?
Absolutely, I heard it before I saw it.
So would it be fair to say that you couldn't have known what the color of the vehicle would be and what vehicle was being referred to?
There was only one vehicle on the parade route, from what I saw.
Were there any radio reports that the vehicle had struck anyone at that time that you heard?
No, I didn't hear anyone say that the vehicle had struck anyone.
Was there any reports at that time over the radio that you heard of a description of who may have been driving the vehicle?
No, I don't recall a description coming out over the radio prior to me seeing the vehicle come across my path.
So would it be fair to say that the radio report was pretty vague?
Objection. Argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Were there any reports that you know of rather by radio or from people who were present in your area that you were, that they may have heard honking from the vehicle that approached?
Objection, speculation.
Grounds.
Overruled. The way it was phrased, he asked if she had any information, so she may answer.
I don't have any information about honking.
Can you recall about what time you saw the approaching vehicle?
I don't know the exact time, no.
Were you injured in any way by the vehicle?
I was not injured.
So it would be fair to say that you haven't filed a claim in this matter, correct?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds.
Overruled. She may answer.
I have not filed a claim for this.
So it would be also fair to state that you are not an injured party in this matter, correct?
Objection, asked and answered.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Could you state for the record who subpoenaed you to testify in this matter today?
Here we go.
The state?
And when you say the state, who are you referring to exactly?
The state of Wisconsin?
To the best of your knowledge, being in law enforcement for some time, have you ever had any interaction with the state whatsoever?
Objection,
Grounds.
irrelevant, vague.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question.
Did you physically talk to the state about testifying here this morning?
Objection,
Grounds.
vague and irrelevant.
Grounds.
Do you mean to ask her if she spoke with the DA's office?
Did she speak to the plaintiff?
Sustained. Next question.
How long have you known the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question.
90611,
Have
bro.
you read the complaint in this matter? To your recollection?
I have, I believe I've skimmed it over. I haven't read it in its entirety.
Would it be any reason why you didn't read the complaint in its entirety?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Did you have any idea that you may be called to testify in this matter?
I did see it as a possibility, yes.
So it would be fair to say that if you knew that it was a possibility that you may be called to testify, would it be fair to say that it would be best to acquire all the knowledge that you can acquire before testifying?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Are you aware that all police departments are funded by the state of Wisconsin?
Objection, irrelevant.
God.
Sustained.
If you weren't testifying here this morning, would you be on duty?
Yes, I would be.
Is that why you came in uniform?
Yes, it is.
So it'd be fair to say that right now you're on a clock,
Yes, I am.
being paid by whom?
By the city of Waukesha.
Is the city of Waukesha in the state of Wisconsin?
Yes, it is.
And who funds the Waukesha Police Department?
Objection,
Grounds.
irrelevant.
Sustained.
During your attempt to stop the vehicle, do you recall the vehicle trying to strike anyone?
I did not see the vehicle deviating in any way, no.
Do you recall it trying to strike anyone?
I think it's asked and answered, Your Honor.
Sustained.
By you saying that you didn't see the vehicle deviate, can you clarify for the record what that means, in your opinion?
When I saw the vehicle coming towards my direction, it was driving in a straight line.
So would it be fair to say that that does not clarify what you mean by deviate?
Objection.
It's argumentative. Sustained.
To
You guys see me staring off into the void. I'm actually staring at my cats. They're sleeping across the room. It's actually calming me. So it's good. That's what cats are great for, right? talk about my cats all the time. They're always making some noise. But then when I really need them to just be peaceful and help me find zen, they do that just by sleeping right there in the room. Every time I'm in this room, they come in here and they just start laying down and going to sleep. But right now they're all snuggled up together. It's adorable.
The best, as far as you recall, you didn't see or hear that the vehicle has struck anyone. That be fair to say?
You already asked that.
Grounds.
You asked that like 3
Sustained.
times. How many times can you ask that question?
Do you know of any cross streets before you attempted to stop the vehicle that may have been barricaded?
We had barricades up in the area of White Rock Avenue. I wasn't up there at any point in time, so I couldn't give you the exact location of every barricade.
But you do know that there were pretty much barricades throughout the parade route. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, we needed to secure it.
Do you know of any attempts to stop the vehicle before it came to the area that you were in?
Well, I personally observed Officer Buttrin attempt to stop the vehicle.
Do you know of any attempts to stop the vehicle before the vehicle approached your area?
Based on the radio traffic I heard, it sounded like officers had attempted at that time, but I didn't see it, so I couldn't say for certain.
So it would be fair to say that you don't recall.
Objection, that's not
Grounds.
fair to say, Your Honor. It's a
Grounds.
misstatement of her testimony.
Grounds.
Sustained. It mischaracterizes the testimony.
So to the best of your knowledge, Officer Buttrin was the first person that you observed attempting to stop the vehicle,
That's correct.
and then yourself,
That is correct.
with no injuries.
Can you clarify, please?
You, Officer Buttrin, or you were not injured in your attempt to stop the vehicle.
I believe that's correct.
You believe that was correct?
I don't recall Buttrin complaining of any injuries, so I couldn't say for certain.
Were you yourself injured?
I have already answered that.
Can you guys imagine watching this whole thing in real time? Those of you who did that, kudos to you.
You stated that you skimmed through the complaint for this matter. Would that be fair to say?
Objection, asked and answered. We need to move on to a new topic, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Sustained. It's been asked and answered. We need a new topic, Mr. Brooks, under 9611. I'm directing you to move on.
I'm just trying to find out what would be a reason not to read the whole complaint. That's all.
Completely irrelevant, Your Honor.
So, grounds.
There's no question.
Did you hear of any incident at Frame Park?
Objection, asked and answered.
I didn't ask this witness.
Overruled. You may answer.
I did answer that earlier in my testimony.
You may answer it again.
Okay.
Please.
I heard that there was a man knife call, is how it came out, potentially in Frame Park.
At any point that evening, did you follow up on that report?
I did not.
Do you, to the best of your knowledge, do you know if, are you aware of any officer following up on that report?
The officers that were dispatched to that call, of which I don't recall who they were, would have been in charge of that.
Did you learn any information about a knife being found?
I did not.
To the best of your knowledge, do you recall any domestic dispute coming over the radio?
What point in time?
The evening during the parade, November 21st.
I don't recall specifically the terms domestic being used over the radio in any way, no.
To the best of your knowledge, do you recall a vehicle being found on Maple Street?
Yes, I do recall.
Did you respond there directly, or do you know if, well, let me take that back. Did you respond there directly?
No, I did not.
Do you recall what that report was saying over the radio?
Objection vague.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question. It's also beyond the scope of the direct exam. Unless you have information she was involved in that. Mr. Brooks, move on.
And what would you estimate the speed was of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained.
I don't recall asking the speed.
This witness has answered about speed multiple times, but if you wanted to say it again, overruled. You may answer.
I said approximately 30 to 40 miles per hour.
To the best of your knowledge, would there be any reason why an officer standing right next to you would not estimate it at that speed?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
It's argumentative and it calls for speculation on the part of this witness, so it's sustained.
Do you know of any officers that was in your vicinity that gave a speed estimate of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
No more further questions.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
Very briefly, Officer Schneider, on cross-examination, you told Mr. Brooks that you saw the driver of the vehicle quite clearly. Do you remember that?
Objection, I do not consent to being called that name, and I would respectfully ask not to be identified with an unknown individual.
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. Go ahead. Hang on.
Do you see the driver of the red SUV in the courtroom here today, Officer Schneider?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. She may answer.
I'd ask Mr. Brooks be directed to remove his mask so that Officer Schneider can identify him, please.
Objection, I never heard an answer to the question.
It has not been answered. Mr. Brooks, please remove your mask. Thank you.
Officer Schneider, is the driver of the red SUV that you've just described for this jury present in this courtroom today?
Objection,
Yes.
hearsay.
Can you please point him out by where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He is seated over here at the table wearing a gray suit.
That's the man you saw driving the red SUV as it sped past you?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
On the issue of identification only, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do. You did state that you saw the driver of the vehicle and the driver had hair, and you stated brown eyes and brown hair, correct?
That is what I said.
You also stated that you can see somewhat what they was wearing by hat or.
That's incorrect. I did not say that.
So you were able to see the driver of the vehicle's entire head?
I was able to see hair, which is what I have said previously.
Would it be fair to say that the alleged defendant that you just identified on the record for the court does not have hair?
You have shaved your head, yes.
Would it be fair to say that you have not seen the alleged defendant shave his head?
Objection. Relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. She may answer.
Oh my gosh.
Presumably in the act of.
The act of.
I have not witnessed him actively shaving his head.
So would it be fair to say that, to the best of your knowledge, you do not know, in fact, if the alleged defendant shaved his head?
I am looking at the individual who was driving the SUV, and he now has a shaved head.
That doesn't answer the question.
It does. Next question.
And you stated eye color, correct?
Yes,
Can you see the alleged defendant's eye color from where you are sitting?
I cannot.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
I feel like he thinks he did something.
She may.
Thank you.
Well, we're gonna take our lunch break now. I have information that the lunch for the jurors will be up in about 10 minutes, so rather than start a witness, just to take a break around that time, we'll take our lunch now. It will be at least an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, but I'd ask the parties be back in an hour. And then also advise the jury and Mike and Pete what time I need them back. All right, thank you, everyone. I'll rise for the jury.
Oh man, wow, that was difficult. I'm not gonna lie, these are getting more and more difficult by the day. Really, they really are. But you guys are helping me out a lot when you guys are leaving these comments and things, and interacting with me. It's helping. It really is helping. So I really do appreciate it, guys. Like I can't overstate how much I appreciate you guys just interacting with the video. You know what I mean? Of course, some of you got memberships. Some of you have sent me super thanks, which I really do appreciate. And but I appreciate everybody who's just giving this a view, giving it a like, and leaving a comment. It means the absolute world to me. You guys are really helping me push through this thing. So it's just another edition of the Darrell Brooks Show, right? We got more coming, but just remember, peace, love, and positivity. Spread it everywhere you go. Like, share, subscribe. Okay? And I will see you guys in the next video. And until then, stay safe, stay blessed, and peace.